Some company news now. 7 years after opening its double-brand flagship store with Domino's Pizza and Cold Stone Creamery, EatinGo has launched its 100th store in Nigeria. The founder of EatinGo says the organization's 100 stores have ripple effects across Nigeria's sectors, having built a supply chain with over 70% of its materials sourced locally.
EatinGo Africa, the master franchise of Domino's Pizza, Cold Stone Creamery and Pinkberry Frozen Yogurt, says its story of 100 stores in Nigeria is an evidence of the good products and service it offers.
We think it's very important in the Nigerian landscape that we maintain the controls in the business, and those are product quality controls, service controls, image controls, for us to make sure that the experience you get in Yaba is the same experience you get in Ibadan and the same experience you get in Akure as we continue to grow across the countryside.
EatinGo management says with its growth, the organization is not only giving Nigerians a good treat, but also creating more employment and values.
In 2012, we started with a little less than 100 employees. But today, I can proudly tell you that directly we have over 2,300 employees under direct full-time employment. Now, as Pat also mentioned earlier, if you look at the backward and forward linkage on how we connect to all other industries through our partners, through our vendors, through our suppliers, we've been able to help them also build their businesses whereby they also create jobs. So if you're looking at it, ultimately, if you look at what goes around EatinGo, you'll be talking about over 10,000 jobs in this sector.
We want to say thank you, we want to say congratulations. We believe that this is just the beginning of greater things to come.
Thank you.
On behalf of our kids, we want to just present you this card which they made for you.
And as part of its social responsibility, EatinGo is in partnership with Slum to School charity organization to help children get access to education.
We've mapped out the organization around the main central points now of Abuja, Port Harcourt and Lagos. We're under construction for a big manufacturing facility here in Lagos. We've got a big warehouse under construction here in Lagos as well. The infrastructure that we're building this year will support us across the next 5 years as our expansion continues.
The food and beverage brand says it is dedicated to bringing the best global food brands and concepts to Nigeria without compromising quality.
Several people are feared dead after gunmen attacked 8 communities in Shiroro local government area of Niger State. The attacks, which began at noon on Sunday, lasted until Monday evening. According to the victims, over 100 armed men invaded the communities, one after the other, and opened fire on unsuspecting residents. A state government delegation has visited injured victims in the hospital where they are receiving treatment from gunshot wounds. The Niger State Deputy Governor, Ahmed Ketso, who led the delegation, said information about the attacks did not reach relevant authorities on time owing to the remote location of the communities, but promises that the perpetrators will be hunted down and brought to justice. For the latest in the world of business, let's join Imana.
Many thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Business News. Delegates from all around the continent are attending the 45th annual meetings of the Africa Development Bank in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, with focus on Africa integration as a leeway for economic prosperity. Channels Television business correspondent Temple Ashaju, who's at the event, reports that most of the policymakers and thought leaders attending the meetings expect that the Africa Free Trade Agreement will serve as a catalyst for regional integration.
It's the 54th meeting of the AfDB Board of Governors and the 45th annual meetings of the multilateral financial institutions with over 3,000 delegates in attendance. This year, policymakers, business leaders, and of course think tanks are focusing on Africa's economic integration, and it's holding here in Malabo, the capital city of Equatorial Guinea.
One of the reasons why we're here is because this particular region is one where we believe that the potential is immense. But the level of integration doesn't allow this region to fully benefit from that potential. Potential in natural resources, whether it's forestry resources, whether it's water resources, whether it's mines, whether it's minerals, metals, is huge. But there needs to be a lot of regional integration for them to be able to benefit and to also to industrialize.
Equatorial Guinea road networks is 6 times larger than the average in sub-Saharan Africa. In 10 years, we've built 8 ports, 5 airports, fiber optics, electricity, everything. So we've done that to make sure that we can take advantage of this $3.4 trillion US market.
In order to actualize this dream, delegates and ministers of finance are optimistic about the AfCFTA as a stepping stone for Africa's economic prosperity.
I think one thing that I really want to emphasize is really the issue of the role of regional infrastructure in making things work in terms of movements of goods, movement of people. And the one issue that needs to be dealt with between South Africa and Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zimbabwe, is the issue of one-stop border posts.
But what's the point of this meeting for Nigeria?
Nigeria is going through a transition. They're forming a new government. That hasn't been done yet. So at the moment, we expect that the permanent secretary will be joining us to represent the government of Nigeria at these meetings.
For the rest of the week, delegates will proffer solutions to the economic barriers to Africa economic integration in order to facilitate goods and services, people, and of course trade across borders. From Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, Temple Ashaju, Channels Television News.
Meantime, here in Nigeria, the main index at the equities market is gradually slipping almost below the 30,000 level as the hangover of profit taking extends into the second trading week of June. Layo Adegoke tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. It appears there's still no end in sight to the sell pressure at the domestic stock market as investors extended profit-taking for the second day on the second trading week in June, causing a 98 billion naira drop in total value of listed equities. The market's main index reflected that downturn with a deeper 0.73% drop to close Tuesday's session at almost below the 30,000 level. Now, just like Monday's session, industrial goods counter recorded the highest drop in terms of sectoral performance, down by 1.10%, ahead of oil and gas, banking and consumer goods, which shed 0.85, 0.20 and 0.02% each. In all, a total of 233.45 million shares worth 3.52 billion naira changed hands in 3,100 deals. Sovereign Trust Insurance is top out of 10 losers, down 8%, while Unilever is the highest gainer, up by 8.22%. The trio of WAPIC Insurance, Zenith and Axis Bank were the most actively traded for the day. The stock market will be closed tomorrow for the Democracy Day holiday. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Layo Adegoke.
And that's business news tonight. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Emana Amawe. It's back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Imana. Time now for some international news. Here's Simon Pusey with Around the World in 5.
Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. Mali's president is calling for calm after at least 95 people were brutally massacred at the weekend. Attackers thought to be from the Fulani ethnic group raided a rival Dogon village, burning bodies and houses to the ground. The village chief says there was no escape.
Ils ont tout de suite encerclé les villages et tiré sur tout ce qui bougeait. Donc partout, donc les gens criaient, les enfants criaient. Ils se sont réfugiés dans l'air, chacun dans sa chambre. Donc ils ouvraient la chambre, donc ils mettaient le feu. Donc tous ceux qui voulaient sortir s'échapper, donc ils les achevaient.
Apparemment, c'est le même mode opératoire qu'à Ogosagou le 23 mars dernier. Et les assaillants, en arrivant, ont mis le feu aux cases, les obligeant à sortir. Ceux qui sont sortis ont été tués à coups de fusil. et ceux qui sont restés à l'intérieur des cases ont été brûlés.
The President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, who's cut short his visit to Switzerland, has condemned the attack, but urged people not to carry out vendetta killings.
Et tout cela est d'interpellation très vive, très forte. Mais n'aggravons pas la peine par d'autres peines plus lourdes encore. Et ce n'est pas à un cycle de vengeance, de vendetta, que ce pays doit être convié aujourd'hui, mais à une union des cœurs, à un repensé malien, à des retrouvailles qui seuls vont nous permettre de rebondir et de permettre à notre nation de survivre.
Salvage teams have recovered 4 bodies from the wreckage of the boat that capsized on the Danube River in Budapest. 33 South Korean tourists and 2 crew members were on board the sightseeing vessel when it was hit by a large cruise liner nearly 2 weeks ago. 7 people survived. The bodies of all but 4 of the victims have now been recovered. Divers say poor visibility has hampered the operation.
Volt olyan nap, amikor lehetett látni egy 50 centit, de volt, amikor csak egy 10 centit lehetett látni. Tehát ezt úgy képzelje el az ember, mint hogyha egy szakadó hóesésbe vagy ködbe felkapcsolná a reflektort, és egyszerűen nem lát maga elé, olyan zavaros a víz.
A fire at a psychiatric clinic in Ukraine has killed 6 people. It happened in the southern port of Odessa. The cause wasn't immediately clear. The country's new president, Volodymyr Zelensky, has sent his condolences to the victims' families and directed the Prime Minister to set up a committee to investigate. In southern China, at least 5 people have been killed and thousands left stranded after record rainfall. Rescuers are still working to reach families trapped in their homes by the rising floodwaters. State media says more than 2 million people have been affected by the disaster, with homes and crops being destroyed. A red alert has been issued for cities in Guangdong province, with the heavy rain expected to last until Friday. Protesters have returned to the streets of Hong Kong to demonstrate against a controversial extradition bill. The proposed law would allow people to be sent to China for trial. Protesters have promised indefinite action, including strikes, transport go-slows and other mass rallies if the chief executive, Carrie Lam, presses ahead with the bill.
Exactly. When we're going to call this off, it's really up to Carrie Lam. If she doesn't scrap this most controversial extradition bill, we will stay on. Hong Kongers will fight on.
A news conference by the president of Hong Kong's Legislative Council, Andrew Leung, was also interrupted. He was confronted by protesters carrying a banner which read, "Withdraw the evil law." The extradition bill, which has plunged the city into political crisis, is due for a second round of debate on Wednesday. Kim Jong-un's half-brother was a CIA informant, according to a new report. Kim Jong-nam died in 2017 after his face was smeared with a nerve agent while walking through the airport in Kuala Lumpur. 2 women charged with his murder were released earlier this year. Citing an unnamed source, the Wall Street Journal says there was a nexus between Kim Jong-nam and the CIA, and he traveled to Malaysia to meet his contact. A measles epidemic has been declared in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The health ministry says 87,000 suspected cases have been recorded since the start of the year. The virus has been detected in 23 out of 26 provinces. And finally, fans of the late Hollywood legend Burt Reynolds have the chance to buy some of his personal belongings. Everything from his boots to furniture and paintings are available at an auction in Beverly Hills, which takes place this weekend. The most valued lot is a 1979 Pontiac Trans Am, which was a tribute to his role in Smokey and the Bandit. And that's your international news around the world in 5.